Extinction is an everyday reality of the modern world. Over 100 species of bird have ceased to exist in the past century alone. Year after year, the archives fill up with the names of birds on what might be their last journey. One such bird is the subject of this story. Great bustards are on the verge of extinction everywhere. Extinction of an animal always begins locally before it spreads out like a pandemic. In Germany, there were still just about 50 birds left, scattered in the wild throughout Berlin's rural backyards. In 1996, their fate seemed to be sealed, whereupon a remarkable project began. Through the dedication of a handful of enthusiasts who didn't simply want to accept the modern-day inevitability, but the prospect of failure loomed large in preserving what is the heaviest of all flying birds. Great bustards are impressive birds. Males can weigh as much as a small deer. The bustard's courtship is an extraordinary performance, where the males virtually exert themselves to their end, at the same time pulling out some rather eccentric tricks to attract attention. During a performance, their hearts accelerate to a dizzying 900 beats per minute, an audible parade of their physique for the hens, often amplified by a cheeky little burst of wind from behind. But displays such as this one were increasingly in vain as their habitats dwindled away. Farmland grew enormously, and the soils are ever drier. The bustard's very existence came under duress. To this day, every square foot of land is fought over, in some cases with methods all their own. This nearly 200-meter-long roped party combs through rustic farmlands southwest of Berlin. The old boy network around Norbert Escholz has just one goal: to startle up great bustards.
Stop! Look, it's a bustard. Don't go over there. Let's just leave it there. Whether it's one egg or two, let's just leave it there as it is. We'll carry on and quickly disappear from here. Go back with the string so that it's not disturbed too long and hopefully comes right back. Well, that was good. At least we found something. There are also curlews in the area. Oh, look, there's also a marsh harrier. Finding a bustard that's been killed by a mowing machine is the saddest thing you experience on the job. It's awful. You put so much work into it, only to discover that a bird's been chopped up by a combine harvester. At least you have a clear conscience if you've searched the area, even if it is very time-consuming. But at least the breeding grounds have a chance. And every chick that grows up in the wild is, of course, precious.
The meadow's hay is of value too. Satellite-controlled and highly precise, the blades give the landscape a new cut. Where once farmers used to cut small areas with their scythes, the meadows are molded to accommodate the machines. The mowing is fast and highly effective. Norbert would have to be everywhere at once to wrest away at least a few hectares of breeding ground from the farmers.
Now we can stop over there, that's enough. He shouldn't mow any more over there, just a bit more, and then it'll definitely be enough. And we want to leave about 3 hectares there. That's what we agreed on, 3 hectares. Yes, that's an area where it makes sense. Mow straight down here where the pasture is. And I'll put up the posts. Then nothing can go wrong. If you find anything, let me know, okay?
Okay.
The eggs of one bustard are secured for now. Spared breeding islands can protect clutches from immediate destruction. But they are far too small as a substitute for habitat. When they have chicks, bustard hens seek wide open spaces with rich vegetation and many insects. Meadows completely unfertilized and without pesticides. As the meadows vanish, so do the insects. The birds can still breed, but the chicks die of starvation. So it was the first step of the bustard conservationists to reserve land. Protected areas void of pesticides, without slurry and left fallow during the nesting season. Wild meadows are recovering slowly, very slowly. It takes them decades to do so. Fenced areas keep out egg thieves, especially foxes and raccoons. Dirk Moritz, called Mocker, on the way to his workplace. Every year from March to August, this drafty hut becomes his second home. From here, he makes discoveries that would otherwise remain hidden.
So, the bustard here by the fence, that's a little curiosity. It's been there for the 3rd year now, and it's really always in the same place. I noticed it 3 years ago, and finally had a look at some point because I couldn't resist.
Bin ich dann irgendwann mal hingegangen, weil das mir keine Ruhe gelassen hat und habe geguckt, hat sie nur Eier oder hat sie keine Eier?
And then I saw that there were no eggs at all. And she went back and, so to speak, heated up the earth, just like that.
Einfach nur so.
Now she gets up. We wait a little while longer until she is far enough away from the clutch. They usually get up at noon. When one of them starts to run, the others sometimes run with her. So she is now relatively far away. Now I could go over there.
Mocker's restraint is appropriate. Bustard hens are sensitive breeders. If they feel discovered in the grass, they often give up the clutch. But in this case, his caution was unnecessary.
Actually empty again.
Schade.
The hen is sitting here wasting her energy, and we need every chick that grew up wild. What a pity.
Schade.
Let's see what the other one does.
Die andere macht.
The other one is hatching only 300 feet away.
Must be here somewhere.
this is something. There, a nest of nothing, and here 3.
Ein Nest ja nicht und hier 3. Das ist auch ein
That's an
Extrem.
extreme one too.
Kommt relativ selten vor, aber
It's relatively rare, but
die
usually they only have 1 chick. That's nice,
schön,
but
aber
Mocker remains undecided. The hen will have great trouble to rear 3 chicks. Should he intervene? Some bustards now breed beyond the fences on farmland. This is a success, but there are drawbacks. At first glance, this meadow seems like an ideal breeding ground.
Hey, there she is. Did you get that? There she goes. Mocker, bring the box over here. You got it? 2 eggs, yeah? Great.
Not great. The clutch lies too close to the last mowing strip. The eggs must be picked up. Sooner or later, crows or ravens will discover them. Then the eggs have no chance. But the clutch is not yet lost.
I'm now taking the eggs to Bucko. That's where our breeding station is, where all the busted eggs we've collected for artificial incubation go. A very dedicated team is ready and waiting there.
A team that knows more about busted eggs than anyone else. East Germany's lowlands are firmly in the hands of the farmers. Field sizes are growing ever bigger as agricultural farming increases its industry. Today it's all about profit. Nature is becoming fragmented and incidental. From March to May in the middle of the breeding season, the pressure is greatest. Machines set the pace, computer-controlled and highly precise. Landscapes are drawn up like on a circuit board. Those who cannot adapt will perish. Insects first, the birds as a consequence. Locked in the middle of this world, a small estate holds its ground undaunted. The Brandenburg State Bird Conservation Center. It has dedicated itself to the protection of meadows, and therein its most sensitive ambassador, the Great Bustard. This is where all the clutches without hope of survival are getting a second chance. At the check-in, Anne Groman.
129.5 grams. $55.6. There are bigger eggs, but they're already quite big. That's relatively wide, I think. It's very brownish. I always write down a code so that we can then keep the eggshells and compare the pattern and color over the years.
The eggs from Norbert's wild meadow are number 16 and 17 in the incubator.
Hopefully, in 25 days' time, the little bustards will start to hatch. Then, little by little, the annual stress will begin here. I'm looking forward to it.
Not all eggs make it into the shelter of the incubator.
Yes, another egg has just arrived. If an egg comes, I test carefully and briefly if the egg smells. Yes. And then I assume that it's unfertilized and has been lying in the sun for a while. We always do the water test when we're not sure what happened to the egg. In this case, the egg already stinks, and I just wanted to see if there was a chick in it, if the air bubble was okay. And as you can see, the egg has completely sunk.
And sunken eggs receive a special treatment. The researchers want to know whether the egg was fertilized. Time and again, chicks die during incubation. The causes often remain unclear.
The egg is fertilized.
A fully developed chick in it.
Yolk sac is not yet retracted. I'll now open the abdominal cavity to see what it looks like in the chick. The liver is clearly visible here, inconspicuous at first sight. The internal organs also seem to be present. Here are the testicles. Exactly, that would have been a small male, which unfortunately didn't manage to hatch.
However, setbacks are often an incentive for a new plan. And it begins with master carpenter Lobus's long ago discarded lathe.
Okay, Dirk, have a look. See if this'll do.
Oh, it's brilliant. A lick of paint and it'll be perfect. Bending the rules has to be learned.
Well, Mocker, how are you getting on?
Oh, yeah, I think. It's pretty good. I'll have to compare it to the original.
Yes, they vary quite a lot anyway, so it needn't be identical. Here's the original egg. Hopefully she'll accept it. She ought to. It looks very similar. If she accepts it, we'll put an original egg beneath her later on. And this could be the first time in her life that she has a chick.
That would be something.
That would be something.
The hen has yet to suspect anything about her intricately planned surrogacy.
Now she's just got up. But I'm waiting until she has some distance, so that she doesn't fly away immediately. She sees us. She's been watching us and knows that we're here. Of course, we don't want to delay unnecessarily. We'll just have a quick check.
The surprise egg must be secured so that inquisitive ravens can't steal it. But it's still completely unclear how the hen, which up until now has had no eggs, will react.
It's now on the second old grass strip and running eastwards.
Und läuft jetzt ostwärts.
Yes, yes indeed.
The hen hesitates. a strange object in the nest. For years, she's been breeding empty and has probably never seen a busted egg. Finally, her instinct wins. The hen settles herself on 110 grams of finest crafted oak.
Hello, Norbert. As we discussed, I put the wooden egg there, and 20 minutes later she came and sat on it as if nothing's wrong. It's something, eh?
She passed the first test for successful breeding with flying colours. What remains hidden from view during a wild brood happens live in the incubators at the ornithological station. Anna makes vocal contact.
The egg is now already completely chiseled open, but the membrane of the egg has not yet risen completely. And I hope the chick is not too dry now and doesn't stick. Outside, the temperatures are the same. There I don't have the problem that the complete temperature and humidity regime changes. That's unfortunately the case in the incubator. And then you have to look carefully when you open and when you don't open. Let's see. Unfortunately, I can't do much at the moment. If I were to help the chick to hatch, it could also end fatally if I hit a vein, for example. In the egg membrane, the veins run long, and they're not completely disconnected. It's possible that the chick won't survive if I get it just a bit wrong. That would be a real pity.
Hatching in the incubator is often hard work. However, the chicks are safe there. In the wild, in comparison, they hatch into a world full of danger. At the start of June in the meadows, many other species have hungry mouths to feed.
There,
Stop. He's looking out. Marcus Borchert drives around the busted areas and checks the safety fences. At their edges, an armada of predators scours the meadows, always in search of a gap. Foxes, raccoons, and raccoon dogs. These ground predators can only be kept in check by stable fences. Air attacks, however, require rather unconventional measures. A roadkill on its last journey. Norbert and Mocker take the deer to a hidden clearing not far from the Bustard nesting grounds. Here the conservationists run an open-air diner for white-tailed sea eagles and ravens. Regular offerings are intended to keep them away from the meadows.
Bon appetit.
Everything's now ready for the first offspring of the year.
Now he's muddling along again. At the bottom, a few feathers come out. Halfway up. Nearly out. Hangs with the head still a bit in the shell, but actually he's outside. Now he's quite knackered. Kicked free. Come on.
Number 16 is out. What happens now will mould the little bustard for the coming months. The first creature she sees is a human being. The chick seeks contact with quiet chirping. It responds to the voice it has already heard while in the egg. In just a couple of winks, the little one is imprinted on its human surrogate mother. The next ones are already knocking. In the clearing at the edge of the meadow, everything is going as planned. The bait has been discovered and the news is spreading. The flock of ravens is attracting the first raptors. White-tailed sea eagles take what is available and have a passion for easy bounty. Great bustards, especially their chicks, are on the menu for white-tailed sea eagles. Therefore, in bustard country, only a sea eagle that has eaten is a good sea eagle. The ravens are not so easy to fob off. And when they fly over the reserve fences, Mocker has to leave his post to check that everything is okay. When it comes to feed, ravens have a sixth sense. Thus, their mere presence bodes ill. Yes, it must have been here somewhere. Ah, here. Shit. Ah, deaf egg and a chick's head. Shit. Here lies the other egg as well. Shit. If there are several ravens or crows, one of them distracts the hen, and the other one is going for the clutch. This is, of course, real shit, because she has been sitting almost the whole time and has hatched it nearly successfully. The broken egg breaks Mocker's hope as well. He wanted to put an egg from this very clutch under the empty breeding hen nearby. It's for Norbert to come up with a plan B.
Oh, hello, Anna. Listen, our triple clutch has been pillaged. Our only triple clutch, and it's just been eaten by ravens. There's nothing left but a few eggshells. Yes, it's a shame.
schade.
I wanted to ask whether you could provide an egg that's about to hatch. You can? Great.
Ja, prima. Okay.
Now it has to be done quickly. In the incubator, egg 17 is about to hatch. Meanwhile, Mocker must not let the hen out of his sight.
Yes, Norbert.
What do you think we should do? Shall I go now? Or do you want to wait a while? Has the hen with the wooden egg been down yet?
Yes. Well, it's just gone down. You could go there right now.
Then I'll go and replace it.
Hurry up, because it didn't fly too far away.
Okay, thanks. Excellent.
Egg 17 is back out in the wild after a 3 weeks shelter in the incubator. It must now be quickly put under warm wings before the ravens find it. The hen is an innocent. For her, the eggs are alike. Or does she suspect after all?
We are now a little bit optimistic. So I hope that she will accept all this well, and that the hatching will go well, and then we'll see.
Sibling number 16 hatched in the incubator. It makes its first contact with the outside world in the backyard of the center, under the guidance of its surrogate mother. It is fully dependent on her and has yet everything to learn.
Now the little one gets some crickets. He can't eat out of the shell yet. They can only do that after 2 or 3 days. First out of the hand, then out of the shell, and that's why he now gets his extra crickets, just as the hen would feed from the beak. And the big ones know this, of course, and are, of course, very greedy as well, but they can eat on their own. I carefully test the back once, and when they're already plump and round, I know they've eaten enough. The big ones are nice and plump, but he can definitely get a little bit more from me now.
Erstmal ein bisschen Wasser.
A bit of water first.
Chicks are initially very dependent, but this is changing quickly. In their first year of life, male bustards already weigh more than any other bird species in Europe. Actually, the sibling egg should hatch in the meadow also.
So, I have to take a look at the situation here.
Here is it.
Here it is. Perfect.
Schön geschlüpft.
Well hatched. Yes. Very nice. With the egg skin dry.
Nicht weiter übrig geblieben.
Nothing else left. Let's have a look.
So, the little one's out. Has it been accepted by the naive hen? The hen guides her adopted chick as routinely as if she had never done anything else. The little one has the best prospects of growing up. It's imprinted on a bustard and familiar with its natural habitat from the very beginning. Every bite is carefully selected and delicately presented. It's the best food a young bustard can get.
So
somehow you doubt yourself a bit whether it all works this way, and that it has worked so far so well. You could write a book about it.
What happens so naturally in the wild is more complicated when reared by hand. Here, Anna takes on the role of the bustard hen. The chicks are well fed and grow up fast. However, they still know little of what awaits them beyond the sanctuary. And so they go out into meadow school every morning for hours. In the beginning, the chicks still need close contact, but day by day, Anna's role gradually recedes. Even if it doesn't look like it, the offspring are shy of people. The bustards are only accustomed to Anna and her light-coloured cotton garment. If a stranger were to come too close, they would instinctively flee. With the elaborate method of hand-rearing, the conservationists are able to nurture more individuals to the wild. Starting from a mere 50 in 1996, today over 350 great bustards are once again living in Germany. Chick 16 having a bath in the sand, in true bustard style, of course. Meanwhile, today's most important lesson is in the air. A sea eagle. The older chicks are immediately on alert. Only the little ones don't understand yet. In the wild, this kind of hesitation could be fatal. Anne imitates the drawn-out howl of a hen, the warning call of a potential airstrike. What happens then is truly astonishing. Little by little, the young bustards react and hide away in the tall grass. It's this behavior that will later ensure their survival. But there are dangers for which they cannot be prepared. Great bustards are among the heaviest birds on Earth capable of flying. Once in the air, they need good visibility and a clear flight path. Obstacles they manage to avoid if noticed early. However, sudden turning maneuvers cause them trouble. But even in open country, there are hardly any free air corridors today. The flight paths of the bustards are peppered with hazards. Weighing up to 17 kilograms and with a wingspan of well over 2 meters, male great bustards are among the jumbo jets of the avian world. With dimensions like this, their turning radius is as large as their braking distance is long. When bustards collide with power lines, it usually ends fatally. It's a dilemma. Electricity is a necessity. However, the bustards need space to fly. And it's not only great bustards.
Another large bird's been killed again, this time a young white-tailed eagle. It happens again and again on these high-voltage lines. We've already lost a few male great bustards. This time it's an eagle. The power companies are doing their best. They've already laid several medium-voltage lines in the ground, but there's still the problem of the high-voltage lines. And birds keep getting killed, especially in drizzly weather. The male birds fly to their deaths here.
Avoiding such losses was for many years a mission impossible. But where there is a will, there is a way. And in this case, help comes from the air as well. On the initiative of the conservationists, power lines in busted flight paths are being marked. These flags were originally developed to prevent collisions of small aircrafts. For their use in bustard conservation, they require only minor modifications. Eagles and other large birds also notice them in time. Everything is now ready for the annual release of this year's offspring. The air vibrates when 10 or 20 great bustards take off at the same time. It's September, and Anne's mission is coming to an end. Number 16 and a dozen fellows are ready for the final leap. For days now, the bustards have been catching the wind under their wings. Soon they'll not return to the safety of the station. Ideally, they will join a group of wild great bustards and continue to learn from them how to survive in the wild.
It is difficult to predict whether the bustards will ever be so well off again that they can live alone, completely without human assistance. In any case, we are doing our solid best to make it work. There are so many factors involved. On the one hand, there's the shape of the landscape. On the other hand, in times of intensive agriculture, one easily finds insects and land to help the bustards grow. I think we have achieved very good conditions over this long period of work in the protected areas. In fact, enough wild chicks are growing up here to make up for some of the losses that occur every year. But it's very, very difficult because, of course, when a population grows, it needs space. And if it wants to expand outside the protected areas, conditions there are usually not so favorable, unfortunately.
Yet better conditions can be created. There is actually plenty of space for the large birds in rural Germany. The question is, how much of this space people are prepared to let become wild again. Despite all optimism, Mocker also remains cautious. He has seen it all, the ups and downs, the successes and setbacks, even here in his fenced refuge.
It's becoming increasingly clear that the protected areas have a unique selling point after all, and that the world looks very different outside the protected areas. I can't imagine how it would be if people did not somehow change their way of thinking about how they treat nature. So, ideally, of course, all the fences should be removed and everything should look the same as it does here in the protected areas. And, well, that would be a dream. It's not just a dream. What once started on a small scale now has an impact beyond the reserves. Outside in the unprotected world, they have to pass their real-life trial. Can they hold their own there too? Number 16 is lost. The young male is still inexperienced and needs the assistance of other bustards to orientate himself in his newly gained freedom. With a minimum of resistance, the bird is recaptured by its former foster mother. He still remembers the two-legged creatures in their light cotton cover. Blind flights like this one do occur, but the majority of young bustards join a wild group by their very first winter. Bird 16 will now be returned to familiar territory for a new release into the wild.
For us, Great Bustards are the symbol of Brandenburg's conservation efforts. Bustards have enormously high habitat requirements, and the many, many other species sailing behind them in the shadow of the Great Bustard are just as important. This is a model project where we can see what's possible. Other areas might look similar at first glance, but there's nothing there. Here, when you walk around in spring looking for bustards, the air is still buzzing with skylarks. Where else is that the case? It's nice to know that there's a diversity here that just can't be seen elsewhere. We're doing our utmost to preserve things like this, because then we know what we're fighting for.
This is perhaps the most important lesson from 4 decades of great bustard conservation. Under the patronage of the giant birds, other once lost species will return. Conservationists cannot take care of every single species, but if they promote the right ones, they will create new chances for dozens of others. Once a species is driven to the brink of extinction, there are no longer any easy solutions. The price of rescue is always high. The negligence of the past must now be taken into account. However, for all the experience, if the result is successful, it's priceless.